Hi and welcome to this episode of Zeitgeist podcast with Niklas and Flo. Hi, I'm Niklas.
Hi, I'm Flo.
Today we're going to talk about a topic in the area of self-optimization because Flo recently read a book, Atomic Habits. And beyond that, I think that's a topic you've dealt with a lot, and I'm just really keen on what you do to kind of self-optimize.
Yeah. I guess, you always need a source for self-optimization. Some people read books, some people are using TikTok, or listening to podcasts. I guess there are a couple of different ways. I'm a little bit old school. I like reading books, and Atomic Habits was one of the books I just found recently at the airport. And sometimes I think a lot of these books are wrote in the same kind of style, but sometimes you have a book which is just, peak in how they explain things. And Atomic Habits definitely a big one for me, from the books I just read recently, because in different ways the author is explaining how you can change things for the better good in your life, like work or like having a more healthy lifestyle. And I guess if we're questioning ourselves, most people wouldn't agree that they are already at 100%. So there's always something you can change a little bit to make things better.
And I think especially Atomic Habits, but also other methodologies are a lot about shaping behavior patterns, right? So Atomic Habits, as I understood it, is you try to implement like routines into your day-to-day basis. Do you actively do that?
Yes. So, there are just little things you and I wouldn't probably like really think about. But one example I read in a book and which really sticks with me is, if you put in the morning, for example, already a book on your night pillow and you go to bed and, the book is, smiling at you basically, you start reading, maybe even it's just 1 or 2 pages, if that is the one thing you want to change. If, let's say, you want to start reading, you don't know how to do it, and your book is in the shelf, you don't really see it all the time, it's more likely that you will not read it. If you put it in your bed and you are on your nightstand, you go to bed, you see it, it's more like that you're adapting, starting reading 1 or 2 pages. It's like tiny things. Or if you, let's say you want to do something, but you also have to do something you don't really want to do, you can use it as a goodie for yourself. So let's say you do 10 minutes exercise, and after that, you are allowed to use your phone 10 minutes. So you can, reduce the time you're using your phone, which is what we know is not that good. But then on the other hand, you're, try to self-optimize your, exercise time amount you're using. So you can use it against it basically to help improve on something you actually want to do.
Yeah, this is really interesting. And then there's a bit like, I think, an idea, and I haven't understood it yet, between outcome-based habits and identity-based habits. Do you understand what that is, basically?
No, actually, I mean, it's a few weeks now. Maybe for our listeners, we already recorded this podcast too, but since for some audio issues we had in the past, we need to do it again. And since I read this book the last time is now a few weeks, I would say, ago. So this one did really stick with me.
Yeah, maybe I just Google it in between. Yeah, sorry for the audio quality of the last one, but it wasn't really worth publishing it. But the difference between outcome and identity-based habits is basically when you have an outcome-based habit or you try to do something, you will focus on achieving basically a single outcome. And if you do something at like an identity-based habit, you do it around something you want to become, basically. So you would, if you say, I want to be something different than I am today, then you would basically have things that would help shape that new identity. And it seems to be that this is a lot more like defining than purely outcome-based habits that you basically just do and then put aside after. At least that's how I understand it.
Yeah, possible. So maybe I just try to explain this with different words.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, what do you think? I think there's this idea of becoming 1% better every day, like small steps.
Exactly.
What is the
There,
beauty around it?
you get basically an instruction how to do this in the book. So this is what I'm saying. So the book is really well written. So you really get like instructions for all these little tasks, how to do it, how to measure the success of everything you're doing. The 1% was one of the things. Um, it explains basically if you try to become 1% better just over time, you will see, if you're looking back, a huge success in single tasks. And this is what I really liked, because sometimes we're if before we even start, we're thinking the goal is so far away because it seems so big that we don't even start. You know, the motivation is not even there. But with like tiny steps and really small successes you can celebrate, it makes things just easier, and you're more willing to start things if you think the path is, you know, easier to walk.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, right? So if you want to climb about a big mountain, go step by step, right? Like don't climb it at once. Small steps lead to the same result at the end of the day as the attempt to do the big thing like in one go. It's all. I think what is really hard, I think for me as well, is breaking bad habits. Like be it smoking or whatever it is that you want to quit, for example, or eating too many sweets. I think we all have some behaviors in ourselves that we don't particularly like. Are there tricks in Atomic Habits on how to break these bad behavior
Yep,
patterns?
yep, definitely. I mean, I guess you have to take care of every habit in a different kind of way. Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between avoid sugar and become more productive in work. Um, so there are different ways how to handle it, but the book is, as I said, explaining almost everything in a really good way so that you can start right away.
This sounds very interesting. And outside of this book, I mean, it's, as you said, it's a general topic that you spend a lot of time on, right? So what other things could you really recommend for somebody who wants to self-improve?
Right now I'm reading the 12 Rules of Life by Dr. Jordan Peterson. I really like his content. He's also someone I learned from first on TikTok. I saw a couple of his videos or people just, posting videos of him. Um, I'm I really like his perspective of life, and so that's why I start reading his reading his book. Um, I also just finished, I believe every entrepreneur is reading Rich Dad Poor Dad at some point, which explains also the different point of view on money and work and how to let your money work for you, basically. I guess there are a bunch of really good, like, you know, books for especially entrepreneurs or people who wants to become better in life, since there's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Um, I definitely recommend Shoe Dog. It's from the founder of Nike.
Yeah, I read it. Shoe Dog, I can also really, really recommend the story of really not giving up and finding that one product topic that you love, right? And building
Yep.
the company around, I would say, a culture and a deep passion for sport. I think that's very inspiring about Nike.
But not just even books. I believe there are also a lot of good movies who can motivate you. Um, Me personally, I like both Steve Jobs movies a lot. So what
Yeah,
about you?
yeah, yeah.
Any
Maybe so.
books,
Now,
movies?
sorry for interrupting you. I just wanted to say I think we have a few more books and movies that we can talk about in a different episode. I think
Yep, let's do this.
this is it for today. And maybe do you have one recommendation if you would recommend one book particularly to the audience?
Since we talked a lot about it, I would start with Atomic Habits and then starting the habit of read more, and then you go from book to book.
If you read Atomic Habits or now are thinking about buying it and read it, please put in the comments how you like it. This was this episode of Zeitgeist podcast. Have a great day.
Bye bye.